Okay, data types. So we have integers, we have what are called floating point numbers, which just means like decimal points, um, and so on. So integers usually take the integer type, so 0, 1, 2, 3, useful for discrete math, counting, in other words, useful for like counting things. Um, uh, so if you want to count the number of customers, you might use a variable which is an integer, right? You wouldn't really need to use decimal points if you're talking about number of customers. So the thing is that when you use decimal points, usually they take up more memory, so you don't want to do that necessarily if you don't have to. So if you're trying to talk about the number of customers, you might make a variable to be an integer to stand for the number of customers. And also, if you're trying to talk about the order of customer, like the 100th customer or something like that, you might want to use an integer. Floating point numbers, floats, usually take the double type. So there's a type, so as opposed to integer type, there's something called a double type. Example 1.50, we put this number, etc. They have a decimal point, more useful for so-called normal arithmetic. Note if you do not explicitly declare a variable data type, it is managed by the system as an object by default. We'll talk more about integers and floats and other data types shortly. First, let's look at some basic mathematical operations. So, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. This is called integer division. If you're using a Japanese computer, this symbol shows up like this. So don't worry about it. It's the same as this. Mod and exponential. So this is written 6, this is read caret usually, 5. That means 6 to the 5th power, okay, which is this number. Oh, wait, yeah, okay, this one, mod, we'd write 6 mod 5 equals 1. That just means if you divide 5 into 6, what's the remainder that you're left with in this? And it's 1. Okay. So we've seen this before. Making the project, form preparation, setting the controls, adding the program debugging, saving the project. This is the flow chart for program preparation. Here's the first program we want to make, a simple calculator. So we're going to have this label, this label, this label, this label. I'm sorry, we're going to have this label, this label, this label, this label, and this label. And we're going to have this one and this one as well. And this is what we want it to look like. Then we're going to have these 8 buttons here. Oh, wait, did I leave something out? Place 5 labels, 2 text boxes, and 8 buttons. Note, use the standard naming for important controls. So if it's a button, BTN operation. In other words, BTN division, BTN addition, and so on. Text boxes use TXT. So TXTA, TXTB, and so on. And labels LBL. So LBL output for this one here. Okay, so now we're going to have to add the code. For each of the buttons for math operations, double-click to produce a subroutine for handling the click. Then for each event handler, add the code of the form. So first of all, here's a comment. Below name is plus, minus. These are what he means by name. So here's just an example. Button name, so it could be button plus, could be button minus, could be button multiple. So you would have to do this for each one of these. And we get this. Handles whatever one that you named it. And then we define a function. I'm sorry, we define 3 variables, A, B, C. This function, cint, takes whatever in here and converts it to an integer. Converts it to an integer. So we want it to be an integer. Now, I think we need to put as integer here. As far as I would think. We'd want to put as integer here. And then do this. See, you don't have to do it, but I mean, to do it properly, you should define the type as well. So CABC as integer, I would suggest. And then here, we're going to convert what we have in the text in A and the text in B. In other words, these things here. Let me go back here. Here. The text here and the text here are going to be converted to integers by this convert to integer. Okay, and then C is going to be A and then one of the operations, like here plus or whatever it is, whatever the appropriate operation is, B, and we'll assign that to C, and then take C and assign that to the output label box text value, or text property. Okay, so here's an example of this. So this was the kind of general form of it, but here's a particular example. So for the button integer division, this one here, we do dim ABC. I guess I would suggest say as integer, but maybe you don't need to. Then here, then here, then this is how we define C, or how we assign C, and then we take C and show it with this statement. Finally, double click on the last button and add the VB code to exit. So you have to do this, the appropriate thing here for each of the operations or buttons. Okay, let's stop here.